First tonight, the confusion over the wearing of face masks shows no sign of easing. On Monday, the government relaxed the restrictions which have been in place for months. Instead, people, that's you and me, would have more choice from next week. However, some businesses say they'll keep the masks for staff and ask customers to do the same. Well, let's join our social affairs correspondent Jeremy Ball, who's in Nottingham this evening. Good evening, Jeremy.
Used to those clear rules on face coverings, haven't we? Particularly in the tram when public transport like this. But from Monday, that's all going to change. And if you're a little bit confused by it, I'm sure you're not the only one. We've heard, for instance, this evening from one local doctor's surgery that's emailed all its patients this afternoon telling them they still will need to wear these if they're coming in. The big focus, though, has been public transport, and I've been finding out what it means for passengers. To cover or not to cover? That's the new burning question. Monday can't come soon enough for people fed up of wearing face masks. But is free choice a recipe for conflict? And will tram and bus drivers get caught in the middle?
It's going to be a real issue. Drivers shouldn't be put in a position where they have to police something like that. There's a danger that people would adversely react to that. Drivers being put into adverse danger as a consequence of that, and people having negative reactions on drivers when it's really not their place to be able to manage or police that.
I don't know about you, but I'm always thoroughly relieved when I can take my face mask off. But of course, a big part of wearing these is protecting other people's health. So when people talk about freedom of choice, the question is, my choice or theirs?
Rates are going up. At least half of them aren't wearing them anyway. And I think once this comes into play, I think a lot of people aren't going to be wearing them, and I don't feel comfortable.
I think it's a brilliant thing.
Well, honestly,
yeah.
They should make them wear them, I think. They should keep them on.
I think it's too early, to be honest, with all these numbers increasing.
We need to take a view of what we each individually need to do based on our own assessment of our own risk.
After the Euros, I think it's just a bit idiotic to not wear them.
I think some people's choices aren't always keeping in mind other people.
Yeah, I think it ought to carry on.
We are still being advised to keep covered when transport's crowded, but the Trent Barton Bus Company says drivers shouldn't intervene in case that causes conflict. One taxi firm says its drivers are self-employed, so they reserve the right to refuse passengers who don't wear a face covering. Our train companies say out of respect for others, you should wear a mask if it's busy. And bus and coach firms want clearer guidance so everyone's confident about travelling. But with so many of us now vaccinated, why does it matter?
It will spread to you if your vaccine antibodies are waning, if you've not responded to the vaccine, or if there's a new variant being shared by somebody that actually can get around the vaccine, even though you're fully vaccinated. And that's what we're seeing now. If the vaccine program is working so well, these numbers shouldn't be rising continuously as the vaccine program rolls out, but they are.
So will disagreements about covering our faces get passengers hot under the collar? We'll find out in a few days' time. Jeremy Ball, BBC Midlands Today, Nottingham.